My fiancée canceled our wedding and married her coworker a week later. She said she needed space. Turns out, she needed someone else. My name is Ian. I'm 29 years old, and up until 3 months ago, I was engaged to the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. Her name was Sarah. We were together for 4 years. We were supposed to get married in March, but she left me 1 week before the wedding, and what destroyed me even more, she married someone else, a coworker, a man I didn't even know existed. Let me take you back. Sarah and I met at a birthday party. She was funny, witty, not too loud, but she had this way of making everything feel warm. We started dating quickly. Within months we were inseparable. Late night calls, random drives, movie marathons. She made life feel easy. Like love didn't have to be complicated. 2 years into the relationship, she got a new job, a better company, more money. She was excited, and I was happy for her. Of course I was. She introduced me to some of her coworkers, mostly through stories, funny work drama, office politics, deadlines. One name that came up occasionally was Zohir. She always said the same thing. He's annoying. He's too flirty. He tries too hard to impress the boss. I never thought much of it, because she never said anything positive about him. If anything, she sounded irritated. A year later I proposed. She cried, sighed yes immediately. We held each other and talked about forever. That night I remember her saying, "I've waited my whole life for this." The next few months were a blur, venue hunting, caterers, invitations, outfits. Her mom and my mom bonded. Families laughed together. It felt like a dream coming true. But a month before the wedding, she started acting different. A little more distant, saying she was tired. Work was stressful. She had so much on her mind. I didn't panic at first, because everyone gets nervous before a big event, right? But one night we were picking songs for the reception. I played one of our favorites, and she didn't smile, just stared at her phone. I asked, "Everything okay?" She looked up, blanked out and said, "Yeah, just tired." Then came the phone calls, late night ones. When she thought I was asleep, I wasn't snooping. But one night at 2 a.m., I heard her talking softly outside her house. I only caught one line. Before she ended the call, "No, he still doesn't know." I didn't ask, didn't accuse, didn't assume, because I trusted her. Because love makes you blind until it slaps you awake. A week before the wedding, she called me. Didn't even show up in person. She said, "I can't do this, Ian. I'm not ready." I was silent. Then said, "What happened?" "You were ready 2 days ago." She paused, sighed. "I don't know. I just feel lost." She cried. A lot. Said it wasn't my fault. Said I was amazing. Said she didn't deserve me. I begged. Not out of pride, but out of heartbreak. "Don't do this," I said. "We've come too far." But she ended the call. Blocked me the next morning. Blocked my mother, my friends. Everyone. We canceled the wedding. Guests were confused. My family was humiliated. I didn't eat for 3 days. Didn't sleep for a week. Then Zara, my cousin, sent me a photo, taken at a wedding she attended. There, in full bridal dress, smiling like nothing had ever happened, Sarah, and standing next to her, grinning proudly, was Zohir, the annoying coworker. It had been 6 days and she told me she wasn't ready. And now she was married to someone else. I stared at the photo for hours. Zoomed in, looked for signs that it was fake, that maybe it was an old picture. That maybe it wasn't real, but it was. My fiancée had dumped me and married her coworker. In less than a week, I fell apart. I stopped going to work. Barely left my bed. I kept going over our memories. Every laugh, every kiss, every "I love you." And all I could think was any of it real? Everyone told me to move on, to let go, that I dodged a bullet. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like I lost a piece of myself that I might never get back. I finally unblocked her, texted one sentence. "Why?" She replied 3 days later, "Because I loved you." But I loved him more, and that was it. The truth, cold, sharp, final. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. 2 months later I saw her at a cafe. She was with him, laughing, holding hands. She saw me, froze for a second, then smiled. As if we were strangers who once shared a story that didn't end well. I walked away. Didn't look back, not because I was over her, but because I was done letting her live in my head rent-free. Now, I'm healing. Slowly, quietly, still broken in places, but learning to stand again. And if you're wondering what I'd say to her today, it would be this: thank you for teaching me that sometimes losing someone is the beginning of finding yourself. Asterisk, it's been 4 months now. Since the wedding, that dash never dash happened. Since Sarah left me and married Zohair in the blink of an eye. And honestly, I thought by now I'd be fine. I thought time would heal everything, but some wounds don't close just because the calendar changes. Still have her photos in a hidden folder. I haven't opened them in weeks. But I haven't deleted them either. I still hear her voice. When I drive past her old street, still remember the way she laughed. When I see cheesy rom-coms, still wonder, was any of it real? Or was I just a placeholder until she made her real? Choice, one night, I ran into her best friend, Mina. At a bookstore. We both paused. Awkward silence, then she said softly, "Hey, you look better." I didn't know what that meant. But I thanked her, and then she said something that made my stomach twist. "Sarah's not happy, you know." I blinked. "What?" She nodded, looked around, lowered her voice. "She made a mistake, Ian." I tried to warn her, but she wouldn't. Listen, I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know if I wanted to hear it, but curiosity? It's stronger than pride. So I asked, "What happened?" Mina hesitated, then spoke. Zohair was cheating. Even before she married him, there was another girl at the office, maybe more than one. I felt my chest tighten, not out of jealousy. Not because I still wanted her, but because she destroyed me for someone who was never even real. She knows? I asked. Mina nodded. She found out 2 weeks after the wedding, came crying to my place, told me she felt like an idiot. I didn't feel happy, didn't feel revengeful, just numb, like I'd been drowning, and someone finally told me why. The water felt so cold. Later that night, I checked her profile, still private. But her bio had changed. From forever with Z to trying again, one day at a time. A week later, she messaged me. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. Before opening it, her text was short. "Hi, I don't expect anything. Just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." I didn't know what to do. Ignore it? Reply? Unleash every emotion I had bottled up, but I kept it simple. "I needed that. Thank you." She replied, "Can I ask something crazy? Can we meet?" My heart pounded, not because I wanted her back, but because I needed to see her, to close this loop, to end it properly. I said yes. We met at the same cafe where I used to surprise her after work. When I walked in, she was already there. Same eyes, same face. But she looked older somehow, tired. Not physically, but emotionally. We didn't hug, didn't smile, just stared at each other. Then she whispered, "You look good, Ian." I nodded. "You don't," she laughed, and wiped a tear. "Fair." She talked first. Told me how the marriage was built on lies. How Zohair changed right after the nikh. How he started texting other women, blaming her for his stress. Said she was too emotional. "I thought he was different," she whispered. "I thought I was choosing passion." I said nothing. She kept talking. I don't even know why I did it. Maybe I was scared. Maybe I was bored. Maybe I thought you were too safe, and that hurt the most. Too safe. As if love needs chaos to be real. She said she was filing for divorce, that she was staying with her sister, that she had cut ties with most of her friends. Then she looked at me, really looked, and asked, "Do you hate me?" I thought about it, about everything. The pain, the silence, the betrayal, the public humiliation, and I said, "No, I don't hate you. But I don't trust you either." She nodded. Sighed. She understood, then asked, "Could we ever be friends?" I laughed, and said gently, "You didn't just break my heart, Sarah. You broke the version of myself I was when I loved you. That man doesn't live here anymore." She wiped her face, apologized again, and said goodbye. We didn't hug, didn't promise to keep in touch. We just walked away. Two people who once planned a life, but took different exits. Now, I don't think about her every day, just on quiet ones, and not with pain, but with a soft ache, the kind that reminds you of a lesson learned at a very high cost. I'm healing, truly, not pretending. I'm going to therapy, spending time with friends, taking trips, rediscovering who I am when I'm not loving someone who doesn't love me back. And one day, maybe not today or tomorrow, but one day, I'll love again. And this time, it'll be with someone who chooses me every day, not just until someone else comes along. It's been a year. Since the day Sarah left. Since I stood in the tailor's shop, returning a sherwani that never got worn. You know what the strange thing is? One day, the pain stops screaming. It doesn't go away completely, but it becomes quieter. More manageable, like a scar. You still feel it, but it doesn't bleed anymore. I spent the first few months rebuilding myself. Therapy, long walks, late night journals. I stopped asking, why her? And started asking, why did I lose myself for someone who never saw my worth? And somewhere in that messy process, I found someone I wasn't expecting. Not a new girl. Not yet, but someone even more important. Me. I started doing things I hadn't done in years. Joined a photography class. Started traveling solo. Reconnected with old school friends. Even got into hiking. Pain changes you, but healing lets you decide how it changes you. Then came Anissa. We met at my friend Samir's engagement. She was sitting 2 chairs away, wearing a navy blue dress, laughing at a joke I didn't hear, but her laugh, it made me look up. And for the first time in a long time, I felt curious again. We didn't talk much that night. Just polite smiles, but 2 weeks later, Samir invited us both to a group dinner. And that's where we really spoke. She was confident, funny, asked questions, listened without waiting to speak. She wasn't trying to impress. She was just herself, and that was refreshing. Over the next month, we talked more. Walks in the park. Late night conversations about movies and books. Not rushed. No pressure. Just 2 people enjoying the simplicity of getting to know each other. One evening, we sat by the lake, watching the sunset. She looked at me and asked, have you ever had your heart broken? I took a deep breath and said, yes. She didn't press. Didn't ask who or why. She just nodded and said, then I know you'll be gentle with mine. That's the moment I knew. She wasn't trying to fix me. She wasn't asking me to forget the past. She was asking for honesty and offering it in return. We never rushed. I told her everything eventually, about Sarah, the wedding, the betrayal. She listened, didn't flinch, just held my hand and whispered, she lost a good man, but maybe that's how I found him. Weeks turned to months, and I found myself smiling more, laughing louder, sleeping better. Then, one night, I got a message from Sarah. It was short. I heard about you and Anissa. I'm happy for you, truly. And you know what? For the first time, I didn't feel angry, or hurt, or anything heavy. I just felt peace. I replied, thank you. I wish you healing too. And that was it. No drama. No flashbacks, just closure. Real, calm closure. A few months later, I proposed to a NES. It wasn't a grand proposal. Just a quiet moment under the stars. I said, I've been loved the wrong way. Now I want to spend forever loving you the right way, she cried. Said yes, and I held her like I never wanted to let go. Our wedding? It was simple, elegant, filled with people who clapped with both hands, people who meant their blessings. When I looked at her that night, in her dress, glowing, I felt like life had finally paid me back for every sleepless night I'd survived. Now, we're 2 months into married life. She sings while cooking. I take photos of her when she's not looking. We fight about silly things, and then laugh over them the next morning. Do I think about the past? Sometimes, but not with pain. Not with hate. Just a soft understanding that some people come to teach you what love should never feel like. So that when real love shows up, you recognize it instantly. Sarah? She moved to another city. Started over. I hope she's healing too. I mean it. We were wrong for each other. But maybe we helped each other grow. In the most painful, necessary way. To anyone who's been left, forgotten, or replaced, please hear this. You are not unlovable. You are not a backup plan. You are not too sensitive or too much. You just gave your love to someone who didn't know what to do with it. But one day, someone will, and it won't feel like chasing, or proving, or guessing. It will feel like peace. Because the right person won't make you question if you're enough. They'll remind you, you always were.